September 13 wasn't just another date, but the day that decides whether you rise or repeat the same cycle again. This warning isn't here to scare you, it's here to prepare you. Chosen ones, a test is coming, and how you respond could shape the path of everything that follows. Some days feel ordinary, and then there are days that feel charged, like the air itself is buzzing with meaning. September 13 is one of those days. For the chosen ones, it isn't just another date on the calendar, it's a cosmic alarm clock, a reminder that destiny doesn't wait for anyone. Think of it like waking up in the middle of the night because something inside you tells you to check the door. You don't know why, but you know it matters. That's how this date works. It calls you to pay attention. Throughout history, spiritual traditions have marked certain days as thresholds, moments when the veil between clarity and confusion grows thin. These thresholds are not random. They arrive when your inner growth is ready to meet an outer challenge. September 13 symbolizes one such moment. Maybe you'll notice it in the form of strange synchronicities, numbers repeating everywhere, people from your past suddenly reappearing, or a restless energy that keeps you awake at night. These aren't coincidences, they're nudges, signals that you're being prepared for a test of awareness. The beauty of these alarms is that they don't come to punish, but to awaken. Imagine you're driving and the low fuel light flashes on your dashboard. That little light isn't there to stress you out, it's there to prevent you from running out of gas. In the same way, September 13 shines a light on areas of your life that need attention. Maybe it's your patience, your focus, or your relationships. Whatever the lesson, the timing is precise, and the energy around this day will bring it to the surface. Here where it gets even more personal. The test that appears on September 13 may not look dramatic at all. It might be as simple as resisting the urge to argue with someone or choosing not to accept an offer that feels off, even if it looks tempting. The alarm doesn't always roar, it often whispers. But if you're tuned in, you'll recognize it. The challenge is not in hearing the alarm, but in deciding whether you'll hit snooze or actually wake up to it. What makes this especially motivating is that those who notice and respond are the ones who move forward faster. Think of athletes who train daily. They're ready when the race begins, not because they knew the exact day of the competition, but because they stayed prepared. September 13 works the same way. It rewards those who have been quietly strengthening themselves, staying disciplined, and listening to their intuition. So when the alarm rings on this day, don't panic. Instead, see it as an invitation. It's life's way of saying, you're ready for the next step. The only real mistake is pretending you didn't hear it. When life throws challenges your way, it's easy to think, why me? What did I do wrong? But here's the truth, not every hardship is punishment. More often than not, it's a test, and there's a huge difference. Punishment is about the past, it focuses on mistakes already made. A test, on the other hand, is about the future. It measures whether you're ready to step into something greater. On September 13, many of the chosen ones will find themselves standing right in the middle of such a test. Spiritual tests rarely arrive with warning labels. They don't announce, this is a test, answer carefully. Instead, they slip into your daily life, disguised as ordinary situations. Maybe it's the coworker who provokes you, the unexpected financial setback, or a friend who suddenly questions your loyalty. On the surface, these moments feel like annoyances, but beneath them lies a much deeper question. Are you strong enough to rise above the old you? The timing of these tests is never random. Have you noticed that right before a breakthrough, everything seems to go wrong? It's not bad luck, it's alignment. Just as a teacher gives you the final exam before moving you to the next grade, life tests you before unlocking the next level of your destiny. September 13 is positioned like that exam day. If you've been growing, healing, and preparing, this is the moment where life checks to see if your progress is real. Think about historical figures who faced great turning points. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, a test that shaped his patience, wisdom, and endurance before he could lead South Africa. Malala Yousafzai faced violence, but used it as a test to amplify her courage and voice for education. These examples show us that the greatest leaders and spiritual warriors are refined in the fire of trials. For the chosen ones today, September 13 is a mini version of that refining fire. And here's the hopeful part, tests are designed for you to pass. Life doesn't hand you exams that are impossible. They are tailored for your growth, placed right at the edge of what you can handle. If you're facing a challenge on this day, It's because you already have the strength to overcome it, even if you don't fully realize it yet. So instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in mindset turns frustration into fuel. Every test passed raises your vibration, expands your clarity, and prepares you for blessings that can't be reached any other way. If September 13 comes with a test, one of the sneakiest forms it may take is distraction. And here's the tricky part: distractions rarely look dangerous. They often appear harmless, even entertaining. A casual chat, a few extra minutes scrolling on your phone, saying yes to a favor you don't have time for. These small things might seem innocent, but on days charged with spiritual weight, they can cost you focus, energy, and alignment. Distraction is the enemy's favorite weapon because it doesn't need to break you, it just needs to keep you busy. Imagine a runner preparing for a marathon. If they get pulled off track by every little noise in the crowd, they'll never finish the race, even if they're physically strong enough to win. That's exactly how distractions work in your spiritual path. They don't have to defeat you outright. They just have to keep you from reaching the finish line. On September 13, this trap may show up in different ways. It could be someone dragging you into gossip, a sudden craving to waste hours online, or an unexpected responsibility that is truly yours to carry. Each of these pulls you away from the quiet focus required to recognize the real test before you. Distraction blurs your spiritual vision, and when your vision is blurred, you miss the signs that matter most. Think about how many breakthroughs in history were delayed simply because attention was divided. Thomas Edison once said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. But what he didn't add is that distractions can easily swallow up that 99%. For the chosen ones, staying consistent and undistracted is where the real battle lies. So how do you guard yourself? It doesn't mean you need to cut off everything and everyone. It means you choose deliberately. Set small focus rituals, turning off notifications, taking quiet time in the morning, or writing down the 3 most important tasks you need to finish that day. These little choices create a shield around your energy. When distractions come knocking, you'll be able to recognize them for what they are, a detour designed to waste your momentum. The motivating truth is this: every distraction resisted on September 13 sharpens your strength and discipline. Instead of scattering your energy, you gather it. And when you gather your energy, you move with power. The more focused you stay, the louder your intuition becomes, and the easier it is to pass the real test that life places before you. Not every blessing is truly a blessing. Sometimes what looks like a golden opportunity is nothing more than a trap wrapped in shiny paper. On September 13, one of the most dangerous tests the chosen ones may face is the false gift, the offer that seems irresistible on the surface but carries hidden costs underneath. Think about it: how often in life have people been lured by something that appeared too good to be true? History is full of examples. Ancient stories warn of warriors bribed with riches only to lose their kingdoms. Modern life has its own versions: promises of quick money, relationships that look perfect but drain your spirit, or shortcuts that come with strings attached. The test here is learning to see beyond the surface shine and recognize the deeper truth. False gifts usually carry certain red flags. They often come with urgency, pressuring you to act quickly before you've had time to reflect. Or they flatter your ego, making you feel chosen for the wrong reasons. And sometimes they simply don't sit right with your intuition. You sense a discomfort, a quiet voice whispering something off. But if you ignore that inner voice, the gift can quickly turn into a burden. On September 13, this type of test might appear in subtle ways. Maybe someone suddenly offers you an opportunity that promises big rewards but requires compromising your values. Maybe you're tempted to accept help from someone who has betrayed you before just because it's convenient. Or maybe the false gift comes in the form of praise, words that inflate your pride, distracting you from humility and truth. This isn't to make you suspicious of everything, but to remind you to stay discerning. Real blessings don't come with pressure. They don't make you betray your peace. They align with your spirit, and when you receive them, you feel calm rather than conflicted. The key lesson of this test is learning to say no to what glitters but doesn't feel genuine. It's better to walk away from a shiny distraction than to carry the weight of regret later. Remember, the enemy of destiny doesn't need to offer poison just something sweet enough to make you forget your path. So if a gift crosses your path on September 13, pause before accepting. Ask yourself, does this align with who I truly am? Does this support my growth? Or is it a shortcut with hidden chains? If your intuition whispers caution, trust it. Passing this test strengthens your discernment, and that discernment is what will protect you in every step of your journey forward. If there's one area where life loves to test us, it's in our relationships. On September 13, don't be surprised if tension arises with the people closest to you. It could be a sharp word from a loved one, a sudden misunderstanding with a friend, or even an unexpected betrayal from someone you trusted. These moments aren't random, they're spiritual pressure points designed to reveal how much self-control and maturity you've gained. Think about it, relationships are mirrors. They reflect your strengths, your weaknesses, and your hidden wounds. When pressure builds, those reflections get sharper. A small comment might sting more than usual. Old resentments you thought you buried may suddenly resurface. The test isn't about whether conflict will arise, it's about how you choose to respond when it does. Here's the trap: reacting impulsively. Snapping back, proving yourself right, or sinking into silent resentment only fuels the fire. The real test on September 13 is whether you can pause, breathe, and respond with clarity rather than emotion. Sometimes the wisest move is to walk away from an argument that leads nowhere. Sometimes it's about calmly stating your truth without letting anger run the show. Consider how many bonds have been broken, not because the conflict was too big, but because both sides refused to master their reactions. The chosen ones are called to break that cycle. Your strength isn't proven in winning arguments, it's proven in maintaining peace when chaos tempts you to lose it. This test also exposes whether certain connections in your life are genuine. A relationship built on trust will withstand pressure, while a weak one may crumble. Though painful, this is also liberating. It reveals who belongs on your path and who is only meant for a season. Remember, not everyone who walks with you is meant to reach your destination. On September 13, pay attention to the energy of the people around you. If someone tries to provoke you, recognize it as a test. If someone disappoints you, see it as an opportunity to strengthen your boundaries. If someone shows loyalty in the storm, value that bond even more deeply. The key takeaway is this: relationships under pressure don't exist to destroy you, they exist to refine you. Every response you choose shapes your future. And when you pass this test, you not only protect your peace, but you also elevate the quality of the connections you carry forward into the next chapter of your life. On September 13, one of the most powerful tools you can carry is silence. Not the silence of weakness, but the silence of wisdom. In a world that constantly pressures us to respond, defend, or prove ourselves, choosing not to react is often the greatest act of strength. Silence is heavy because it holds space for clarity. When someone provokes you, your first instinct might be to fire back, to defend your pride, or to explain yourself until you're heard. But silence allows you to step back from that storm and see the bigger picture. Think about the ocean. Its surface may rage with waves, but in its depths, there's calm. Silence takes you into those depths, where your judgment is no longer clouded by temporary emotion. On September 13, the test may not be about what you say, but about what you choose not to say. A single withheld reaction can prevent a conflict from exploding. A pause can give you time to notice manipulation before it hooks you. And sometimes, silence communicates more dignity than 1,000 words ever could. History offers countless examples of silence as power. Leaders who refused to dignify lies with responses, sages who meditated instead of debating, and visionaries who let their actions speak louder than their explanations. Their silence didn't make them passive, it made them unshakable. There's a difference, of course, between the silence of fear and the silence of strength. Fearful silence comes from not knowing what to say or being too afraid to speak your truth. Strong silence, on the other hand, comes from self-mastery. It's the calm refusal to waste your energy on words that won't matter tomorrow. The silence of strength is a choice, not a default. On September 13, this silence may be your greatest shield. If someone attempts to bait you into an argument, your silence will deny them control. If a false gift comes your way, Silence gives you the space to reflect before answering. If inner doubt starts shouting in your mind, silence is where your intuition finally has room to whisper its guidance. The motivating truth is that silence doesn't weaken your voice, it sharpens it. When you finally do speak, your words will carry more weight because they weren't scattered in reaction. The world may underestimate silence, but the chosen ones know restraint is a form of victory. And on September 13, mastering the weight of silence might be the very thing that tips the test in your favor. One of the deepest truths about spiritual growth is this: life reflects back to you what you carry inside. On September 13, this mirror effect becomes sharper than usual. The world around you will act like a magnifying glass, revealing not just who others are, but also what still lives inside your own heart. You may notice this in the way small things suddenly trigger strong emotions. Maybe someone's careless words sting more than they should, or a situation makes you feel overlooked or disrespected. On the surface, it looks like the problem is out there. But if you look closer, you'll see it's also a mirror of something within you, an old wound, a hidden insecurity, or a lesson you've avoided. This isn't meant to shame you, it's meant to help you heal. Think about how a mirror works. It doesn't create your reflection, it simply shows what's already there. The same is true for life situations. If jealousy, anger, or fear shows up in your interactions on September 13, it's not the universe punishing you, it's holding up a mirror so you can finally deal with what's been hiding in the shadows. This effect can feel uncomfortable, but it's actually empowering. Instead of wasting energy blaming others, you can ask, what is this showing me about myself? That question turns conflict into growth. If someone's betrayal reopens an old scar, maybe the lesson is learning to set stronger boundaries. If being ignored brings up deep sadness, maybe it's showing you where self-worth still needs strengthening. The test of the mirror effect is whether you'll use what you see to evolve or whether you'll simply react and project. Many people break the mirror instead of addressing what it shows. They lash out, walk away, or deny the truth. But the chosen ones are called to be different. They're called to face their reflection with courage. On September 13, pay attention to what life is reflecting back. If you see patterns repeating, it's a sign that a lesson hasn't been fully learned. If you see qualities in others that inspire you, it's a reminder of the potential within yourself. The mirror effect shows both the wounds and the strengths. It's balanced. The good news, once you recognize the reflection, you're free to change it. Just like adjusting your appearance after looking in the mirror, you can adjust your inner world to align with who you want to become. Passing this test means refusing to blame the reflection and instead choosing to transform the source. When life tests you, it often isn't about how talented, popular, or skilled you are. It's about whether your integrity holds firm. On September 13, one of the most defining tests for the chosen ones will come down to this simple but powerful question: will you stay true to who you are, even when it costs you? Integrity means alignment between your words, actions, and values. It's the invisible backbone of your destiny. Without it, success feels hollow and relationships lack trust. With it, even small victories carry lasting meaning. The challenge is that integrity is rarely tested when things are easy. It's tested in those uncomfortable moments when compromise seems like the faster way out. On this day, integrity may be tested in subtle ways. Perhaps someone offers you an opportunity that would benefit you greatly, but only if you bend your values. Maybe you're tempted to hide the truth to avoid conflict or to break a promise because keeping it feels inconvenient. These crossroads may look small, but spiritually, they carry heavy weight. Passing the test means holding your ground even when no one is watching. The pressure to compromise will always whisper, "No one will know," or "It doesn't really matter." But the truth is, you will know, and your spirit will feel it. The chosen ones understand that integrity isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's choosing alignment over convenience, honesty over comfort, loyalty over betrayal. Think about the people who inspire you most: leaders, saints, mentors, even close friends. What makes them unforgettable isn't just what they achieved, but the fact that they stood firm when it would have been easier to fold. Their lives remind us that true strength isn't in how loud we are, but in how steady we remain. On September 13, the call to integrity may feel heavy, but it's also liberating. When you stay true to yourself, you don't have to keep track of lies, wear masks, or live in fear of being exposed. Integrity gives you freedom, and every time you honor it, you build a foundation strong enough to hold greater blessings in the future. So if you face a moment of compromise on this day, pause and ask yourself, does this choice honor who I am becoming? If the answer is no, let it go. Integrity may cost you something in the short term, but in the long term, it guarantees peace, respect, and alignment with your higher calling. Have you ever noticed days when everything feels heavier than usual, when emotions sit closer to the surface, sleep feels restless, or even the air feels charged? That's the effect of energy shifts, and on September 13, this intensity will likely peak for the chosen ones. These shifts aren't imaginary, they're a very real part of how the spiritual and physical worlds overlap. Energy shifts amplify what's already within you. If you've been feeling anxious, you might suddenly feel waves of restlessness. If you've been carrying joy or gratitude, those feelings may also expand. The test here is not whether the energy shows up, but how you handle it when it does. Think of it like a storm blowing through. It can either water your garden or flood your house, depending on how prepared you are. On this day, you may notice emotional surges, sudden anger, unexpected tears, or a deep sense of impatience. These emotions aren't random, they're signs that something inside you is being stirred up. The shift is meant to bring unresolved feelings to the surface so you can finally deal with them instead of burying them. If you ignore them, they may spill out uncontrollably. But if you face them, the energy becomes a tool for healing. Physical symptoms can also show up during strong shifts: fatigue, headaches, disrupted sleep, or even bursts of unusual energy. Don't be alarmed, your body is simply adjusting to the new frequency. That's why grounding practices matter so much. Drinking plenty of water, spending time in nature, or practicing deep breathing can stabilize your system. Even a simple act like placing your bare feet on the ground can discharge excess tension and reconnect you to balance. Spiritually, these energy shifts act like magnifiers. They highlight whatever needs your attention. If a certain fear keeps coming up, the energy will press on it until you notice. If you've been neglecting self-care, the shift may leave you so drained that you finally slow down. It's less about punishment and more about gentle redirection. The most important thing to remember is this: energy shifts aren't here to break you, they're here to align you. By learning to ride the waves instead of resisting them, you gain strength and clarity. On September 13, see the intensity as proof that you're on the edge of transformation. The storm isn't against you, it's carrying you closer to the shore of who you're meant to become. One of the clearest signs that you're about to step into a new chapter is when old patterns try to pull you back. On September 13, this is exactly the kind of test many chosen ones will face: the temptation to return to cycles you thought you had already broken. Old patterns can look different for everyone. For some, it might be the toxic relationship that suddenly reappears with a friendly message. For others, it could be procrastination knocking at the door just when discipline is most needed. It may even be the inner voice of doubt, whispering the same lies you've worked so hard to silence. You're not ready, you'll never change, this is too much for you. The test isn't in the appearance of these patterns, it's in your response. Think about how growth works. When you level up in a video game, the boss you face is often tougher than the last one, but it usually tests the same skills you've already learned, just at a higher level. Life is no different. The boss on September 13 may look familiar, but this time you're stronger, you already know the tactics, you've already seen the trap. The question is whether you'll recognize it fast enough to avoid falling into it again. The danger of slipping back into old cycles is that they don't just waste time, they drain energy. Every step backward delays the blessings waiting ahead. But here, the empowering part: each time you resist, the pattern loses power. By saying no to the familiar temptation, you're rewiring your spirit and proving to yourself that you're no longer the person you once were. Practical strategies help too. If you know your old pattern is overcommitting, practice saying no without guilt. If it's negative self-talk, prepare a grounding affirmation you can repeat the moment doubt surfaces. If it's toxic connections, create boundaries before the situation arises. Preparing for the test doesn't mean you expect to fail. It means you're wise enough to anticipate what could show up. September 13 is less about avoiding the appearance of old patterns and more about demonstrating mastery over them. Passing this test means choosing alignment over comfort, discipline over indulgence, and your future over your past. So when the old cycle comes knocking, smile and remember, its return is proof of your growth. It wouldn't be testing you if you hadn't already outgrown it. By resisting, you declare to life itself, "I am ready for what's next." And that declaration is what propels you into the new level waiting for you. On September 13, one of the biggest tests you may face will come down to a simple choice. Do you listen to logic or do you trust your intuition? Logic has its place. It helps you make sense of facts, weigh options, and plan your next step. But when it comes to spiritual tests, logic often gets clouded, while intuition remains sharp. Intuition is that inner compass, the quiet voice that speaks without explanation. It's the gut feeling that warns you before the evidence appears, the sudden sense of peace when you're on the right path, or the uncomfortable tension when something isn't aligned. The challenge is that intuition doesn't always give reasons, it just knows. And for the chosen ones, September 13 may demand that you choose intuition even when logic screams the opposite. Imagine being offered an opportunity that looks perfect on paper. The pay is good, the timing seems right, and everyone tells you it's a smart move. Yet something deep inside you hesitates. That's intuition speaking. If you ignore it, you may end up trapped in something that drains your spirit. Logic can be fooled by appearances, but intuition sees what lies beneath the surface. The same is true in relationships. Logic might tell you to give someone another chance because they've apologized or promised change, but your intuition might sense the cycle will repeat, trusting that inner nudge can protect you from heartbreak. This is why the real test isn't just about making a decision, it's about whether you'll honor your inner truth, even when you can't fully explain it to others. One way to strengthen intuition is to create stillness. Noise, whether external or internal, drowns it out. On September 13, taking even a few minutes to sit in silence, journal your thoughts, or breathe deeply can make the difference between hearing your inner voice and missing it completely. The more space you give intuition, the louder it becomes. The beauty of choosing intuition is that it builds trust with yourself. Every time you listen and follow through, you prove to your spirit that its guidance matters. Over time, this creates confidence, clarity, and resilience. So when the test comes on September 13 and the choice between logic and intuition feels sharp, remember this. Logic is about safety, but intuition is about truth. Logic shows you what looks possible, intuition shows you what's truly meant for you. And when you follow it, you align yourself with destiny in a way no amount of reasoning could ever achieve. Every test in life comes with a reward, and September 13 is no different. The beauty of spiritual tests is that they are never empty struggles, they're stepping stones. When you face the challenge, resist the temptation, or stand firm in your truth, something shifts inside and around you. Passing the test isn't just about surviving, it's about unlocking blessings that were waiting for your maturity to meet them. The rewards of passing aren't always material, though they can be. Sometimes they show up as new opportunities, financial openings, or unexpected doors that suddenly swing wide. But more often, the reward is inward. It's the deep clarity that comes after you've resisted an old pattern. It's the peace of knowing you didn't betray yourself, even when it was hard. It's the lightness you feel when you realize the chains that once held you no longer have power over you. Think of it like climbing a mountain. The climb is exhausting, and halfway up you might question why you even started. But once you reach the peak, the view changes everything. You see the landscape from a perspective you could never reach at the bottom. That's exactly how spiritual rewards work. The higher you climb, the clearer the vision becomes. On September 13, your reward may come in the form of insight. You might suddenly understand why past experiences unfolded the way they did. You may gain new confidence, seeing proof of how far you've grown. Or you may find that once you pass the test, a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying finally lifts. These are not small things, they are spiritual treasures. And here's the most motivating part. Every reward from a test becomes a tool for the next stage of your journey. The patience you develop now will carry you through bigger storms later. The clarity you gain now will help you recognize future traps. The peace you earn today will serve as an anchor when chaos rises again. So if you feel the weight of the test on September 13, remember that the heaviness is temporary, but the reward is lasting. The breakthrough may not shout, it may whisper, but it will shift you forever. Passing the test proves that you're not just moving through life, you're moving upward, step by step, into the fullness of who you're meant to be. The hardest truth about spiritual tests is this: you can't avoid them by pretending they don't exist. On September 13, if you choose to ignore the warning signs, the distractions, or the inner nudges, the test doesn't disappear, it simply circles back, often with more weight the next time. Life is patient, but it's also persistent. Ignoring the test doesn't mean you're doomed, but it does mean delay. Think about a student who skips studying for an exam. They might avoid the stress for a moment, but the exam will come again, whether in the same subject or in another form. Spiritually, it works the same way. The lesson will return until you're ready to learn it. Each time you postpone, you spend more time in the same cycle, feeling stuck while your destiny waits. The danger lies in the subtle cost of delay. Opportunities pass, relationships shift, energy is drained in places it no longer needs to be. By ignoring the test, you remain in a loop that keeps you from moving forward. For the chosen ones, this can feel especially heavy because you know deep down you're meant for more. The frustration of delay isn't just circumstantial, it's spiritual. On September 13, ignoring the test could look like falling back into old patterns you know no longer serve you, or accepting a false gift even when your intuition says no. It could be lashing out in anger when silence would have been wiser, or chasing distractions instead of focusing on the bigger picture. None of these things ruin you, but they do slow you. And in slowing, you risk losing momentum toward the blessings waiting just beyond the test. The good news is that awareness changes everything. The moment you recognize the test for what it is, you regain your power. Passing isn't about perfection, it's about choosing differently, even in small ways. And if you've failed before, don't let guilt hold you back. Every new day is a chance to show growth. September 13 is simply a sharper spotlight, giving you the opportunity to finally break free from what has held you down. So don't ignore it, pay attention. The cost of avoidance is greater than the discomfort of facing the test. Passing it may feel hard, but it will set you free. Ignoring it may feel easier, but it keeps you in chains. The choice, as always, belongs to you. Every test has a purpose, and every storm carries a hidden gift. For the chosen ones, September 13 is not about punishment, fear, or failure, it's about victory. Passing this test marks a turning point, a spiritual graduation that confirms you're ready for the next stage of your destiny. Think of it this way: every time you resisted distraction, rejected a false gift, chose silence over reaction, or trusted your intuition over logic, you are proving something not just to the world, but to yourself. That inner proof is the real victory. It's the moment when you realize you are no longer who you once were. You've outgrown the cycles, the doubts, and the traps that used to hold you back. The victory isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like peace where chaos used to live. Sometimes it feels like confidence where insecurity once spoke. Sometimes it's simply the strength to walk away from what doesn't serve you anymore. These quiet victories are powerful because they ripple into every part of your life. They set the tone for how you handle the next challenges, and they build a foundation strong enough to carry the blessings ahead. The ultimate reward of this test is alignment. When you pass, you align with the path life intended for you all along. Doors open that once felt locked. People who belong on your journey begin to appear. Opportunities unfold naturally without the exhausting push and pull. It's not luck, it's the natural outcome of walking in truth. And perhaps the most inspiring part is this: by passing your test, you don't just win for yourself. You become an example, a light for others who are still struggling with their own trials. Your victory gives others hope that they too can rise above their battles. That's what it means to be a chosen one. You're not just fighting for your destiny, but also paving the way for others. So as September 13 arrives, remember that the test is not a threat, it's an opportunity. Every decision you make carries weight, and every choice rooted in integrity, patience, and intuition moves you closer to your highest calling. Passing this test is not the end of your journey, it's the confirmation that you're strong enough for the greater battles and greater blessings ahead. The ultimate victory of the chosen ones is not just surviving the test, it's thriving because of it. And when you emerge on the other side of this day, you'll know without a doubt, you are exactly where you're meant to be.